Joining me now to put it in perspective, former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor Ari Fleischer. Ari, I just couldn't help but think that President Obama just won't go away.
Yeah. And, you know, on your litany, your wonderful litany about the Obama-isms out there, you left off the one where he called the filibuster Jim Crow and urged the Democrats in the Senate to get rid of the filibuster.
Yep.
Look, Barack Obama couldn't deliver in 2016 when he was a sitting president on behalf of his anointed Hillary Clinton. That's when he had the maximum power and he couldn't get it done. So Barack Obama is, like a lot of presidents, frankly, spent forces politically. It is rare anymore to have a former president who's got the ability to shape the next election. Obama keeps trying, but former presidents just don't have that kind of clout or role anymore, Brian.
I know. Listen, he's extremely talented, gives a great speech, unbelievable charisma. We could appreciate all that. But when it comes to coattails, there is none. So I want to talk about this presidency. So the President of the United States had his party pass a monstrous bill. It's almost his whole domestic agenda. And he passes it in July, right in July 4th. But since that time, and I'm going to put up the poll numbers, it does not grade high in terms of public opinion. I mean, CNN poll down 22 in terms of popularity. CBS, it's minus 22. Then you got 19. Pew Research poll 14, and then the Wall Street Journal 10. I don't think they've done a good job for Republicans saying what's in the bill. Or do you think it's a bad bill to sell?
No, here's what they have to do. Instead of calling this now the big, beautiful bill, they have to sell the small, pretty pieces. That's how you drive this home. If you're a senior citizen, you're not going to have any taxes on your Social Security and your income anymore. If you're a waiter, a waitress, you work for doing massages, toenails, fingernails, no tax on tips. These are the huge chunks, the segments of that bill that resonate instantly as soon as somebody learns, I'm covered by that bill. I didn't know that. They named it the One Big Beautiful Bill in aggregate to help pass it through the House, but now they need to break it into chunks.
True. They also have money for rural hospitals. People like Larry Summers, Treasury Secretary, says they're going to destroy all rural hospitals. But I think right now the message to the Republican Party was don't hold town halls. It'll be bad optics as some people don't understand the bill or Democrats come in. So is that the right thing to do, back off to prevent something going bad?
Well, town halls are risky business nowadays. I mean, unless your marquee in politics is you take it on, you don't mind all the booing and the shouting and the yelling of your town hall, you'll meet with anybody, you'll bring out the Democrats. Town halls are now attended by professional Democratic protesters. They're not genuine town halls, and they're certainly, even in red districts, not a measure of the red voters in those districts. They are a measure of how the liberal activist groups can turn people out at a Republican town hall. So it's a phony measure. I don't look to town halls to the way you get your message out. You get your message out, Brian, like anything else in the modern era, through communications, through advertising, through social media, through meetings with the selected groups, make an example out of the waitress. You know, every congressional district should have the tax cut waitress. Make somebody famous in your district who is no longer paying taxes on tips and let her talk about how her life has improved. These are the kinds of chunks that I was talking about and ways I would try to get that message out now.
The last time a sitting president had a really good midterm, you worked for him, George W. Bush. We were at war, coming off the 9/11 attacks and going on the offensive in Afghanistan. Now, President Trump desperately knows he's got to keep the House or else he's going to spend this whole time fending off investigations and impeachment. 7 months in, right before Labor Day, where do you think the Republicans are at right now in bucking tradition and holding both chambers?
Well, I think they're going to hold the Senate. I think that's a given. The House is definitely 50-50. And if I'm Donald Trump, here's the language I'd use, Brian. I would say that you need to show up in 2026 and make your down payment on my legacy, my name, and keeping the White House in 2028. If you don't show up to make your down payment in 2026, you can't show up in 2028 because it could be too late. I mean, that's what it is. He's got to get the base turned out in 2026. And the base loves Trump more than they love Republicans. So it's a little bit of a tough sell to get people to come out in the huge numbers. There's been, in recent elections, a drop-off of almost 50 million Americans from the presidential year to the non-presidential year. 2026 cycle is the time to make your down payment, and you have to show up to make that down payment at the polls.
All right, Ari Fleischer, great advice. Thanks so much. It's going to be interesting, and I look forward to talking to you along the way. Thank you, Ari.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.